What's up, YouTube? I'm gonna give us a minute to warm up. This is just gonna be a back and forth chat. I don't have a monologue. Oh, it's been a while. So it's Saturday morning. Hopefully people are just ambling about and might drop in. We'll see what happens. I'll pull up the coffee here and you can see our nice smoky background. I just wanted to share that. I mean, yeah, it's smoky. Jet did a video yesterday talking about that. It was I think it's worse up there for him. It's Reno's got it a lot worse than we do. We had it worse though a couple weeks ago when those fires around here started. Well, we'll see if anybody drops in. If not, I might have to figure out a monologue. You know what I'm saying? But I know everybody's probably busy because that's the main thing is being busy. Lots to do and a short time to do it. You know. All right, we got somebody in there. All right, all right. Rob Painless, good morning. How you doing? And M Long, good morning. Hey. Yeah, slick, right? Yeah. Yeah, pretty slick, right? That's standard fare around here, though. You should be used to that. Everybody wandering on in. They got a minute. Let me give it a few more just to start off with some momentum, I guess. Hope you guys are doing well. Um, hope everybody's getting things in order. You know, like there's no there's no doubt that we are in troubling times, and the good thing is most people see it. At least, well, I should correction. Most people here on YouTube, that most here people in this circle see it. Um, we don't know how it's going to play out. We don't know exactly what shoe will drop, but it we know something. Something is continues to go awry. It's going down the same train tracks we thought we were going down. We just don't know where the end of the tracks are when we fall off the cliff, right? Um, but it's definitely speeding there, and I guess in some ways it is important where we're going because you can prep in a certain way to help you, but the other thing is just continue to do the things to soften the landing no matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? Fuzz dropped a what's up, Fuzz? M Long dropped a link up here. Armstrong Economics. What's that about, M Long? Might take a look. Hey, what's up, Fuzz? Yeah, there's definitely no pretty going on here. That's the facts. Oh, what's up, Fuzz? Fuzz is just like a machine knocking out videos. I've missed so many. I every time everybody is there's not been a lull. Uh, it seems like in past years, not counting last year, but in past years when things would happen, all the go back and there would be lulls with people. Everybody would go through waves. This year it's like everybody's pumping out videos but me. you know, everybody is commenting and putting their stuff out there. It's the great purge. I mean, Dave over at Southern Prepper One, he is like every day, boom, something new, something new. He's been doing news now, current event. He's been tying into current events a lot more. Like there's, you know, everybody. Alicia, like you said, Fuzz. Alicia's been putting out a lot more videos. Just everybody's trying to get their conscience out there so they can clear their conscience before they don't have the ability to do so anymore. I think everybody wants to get all the good peace and word out there they can, um, so they know they did all they could to warn the masses. Because this is posterity. This is hopefully caught up by the algorithm somewhere. Maybe we'll catch some people that wouldn't know otherwise, right? But it's noticeable the difference this last 18 months or so compared to years past. you know, for sure. And not just the conspiracy stuff, but hey, prepare yourself appropriately, do the things, um, ignore the two-party system, ignore the, you know, they're keeping you sucked into this us versus them mentality. Get out of that. Get into, you know, the community aspects and what you can do to be ready at a community level and up. You know, that's really been the message from all across the spectrum, which is good. Hey Jet, what's up? I was just talking about your smoke. I was showing off ours. You know, that usually there's mountains back here. There's something back there. There's usually blue sky if nothing else. So we're showing off our smoke levels. But I was thinking, I mean, 2 weeks ago though, it was somewhat so bad I couldn't even sit outside. At least now, I mean, you can't see the mountains, but I can sit outside for a minute at least. Um, I was inside all day yesterday. It was miserable. But I think you got it worse, Jet. I think you got it a lot worse this week on this whole deal. Fuzz says Walmart trucks are using tunnels. Oh goodness. Way behind. Rob says he's way behind. Yeah, you're with me, Rob. Me and you both, right? Yeah. Um, but there was some other things. What was I going to mention to kind of throw out there before people started rumbling in here? I was going to throw a couple things out there. It does seem that I don't know. I don't want to say this the wrong way. You know, I said in the past that nothing will shut down or there will not be a economic collapse or a reset unless they want it. It's not going to happen naturally. It's not, you know, we're not in that position unless there's a, you know, CME or something. Um, it'll, you know, like Jericho, you know, it'll happen because they want it to happen. Somebody forces it to happen. Um, and that goes with this push on the mandatory vaccine thing. The push seems to be overwhelming. Like there's an end game in mind here because they are pushing it. It seems like they are pushing it to finally get the reaction they want because they know that people are crossing people's line, right? And a lot of people's line. I mean, you're talking people that, uh, and I don't know how high up or whatever, but the way they're pushing it and the way this rollout has been, it's like this is the beginning of their end game. Maybe that's a better way to say it because they're going to push people and isolate them and marginalize their opponents, right? Which is most of us. Um, even if like some businesses that are firing people right off the bat. Uh, well, who was it? Amazon or NBC fired people just for showing up without a vaccine. Boom, out. Um, it's a little more subtle in other places. Here in Nevada, um, they've put forth the state policy that coming up, I guess, shortly, if you're not vaccinated, you have to be tested as a state employee, right? Um, but that's still a marginalization. You know, they're still isolating the enemies, if you will. Um, and for the average Joe, you know, you're marginalized, you're you know, to a certain extent. But I'm thinking higher up in the chain, in the food chain, and in government, um, higher up there, the governor's going to be able to find out whose opponents really are. You know, because if you're high up in the food chain there, whatever level of uh, government the people are in that are not getting the vaccine, they're obviously opposed to uh, his agenda because he's just pushing an agenda because we know it's not science based, right? um, when you look at, I mean, it's a shame people weren't able to evaluate further with the fear mongering and everything that went into the first round, you know, back in the winter of this rollout, and people weren't able to evaluate with a clear conscience. There was so much pressure, and especially if they were, you know, elderly, you know, vulnerable people who were, you know, had issues with heart, weight, whatever. But it looks like this thing. these supposed what they call vaccines, but are actually programming I don't know how else to explain it. It tells your body to do something it's not supposed to do. It forces your body to produce a protein it's not otherwise able to produce. That's a program. It's not, and I still haven't heard how does your body know when to stop making that protein. Maybe that's what the problem is with all these shots. Um, so that's bizarre, and people didn't have enough time to sort through it, and they kept hearing the word vaccine. It's just like a vaccine. It's just a vaccine. You get vaccines all the time, right? Um, no, that's not what this is. Except for the Johnson and Johnson deal, which is separate and not nearly as prevalent, and they don't push it nearly as hard, which is another interesting fact out of that whole thing. So again, the end game of this rollout seems to be a largely marginalization and again and more tearing apart of society, dividing of society. Um, Hopefully, a lot of people that got the 2 round deal don't get this booster stuff they're trying to push out because it's showing more and more that it's just not effective. They're trying to roll it out this fall, and I think they're going to try to time it with the flu shot, so the people are showing up, and they're going to push the agenda again. They're going to push more and more you have to get it, the fear behind the whole thing. When if you look at the numbers, we're already past where it should be providing the effects, but more and more the numbers are looking like, we especially look at the overseas stuff, this stuff it seems to be causing the mutations at a higher degree, and the effects of it are greater on people who have already had some form of vaccination. So it's a part of the agenda to divide and conquer, because people who have already got it, who are mad at everybody for not getting it, are going to continue to stay mad. They're mad at themselves for being hoodwinked and suckered into doing something they probably shouldn't have in a rush. Not everybody, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people. So it's continuing that divide, because a lot of people aren't going to concede that they were wrong and probably shouldn't have, because they rushed into it or whatever. And man, it's just a mess. And so that's going to continue to create that divide, I think. I missed some comments here, so I'm going to scroll back. Jet was here. Hey, what's up, Fuzz? It's your internet, or is it my connect? It might be my message. It might be my signal. Hey, Red, what's up? How you doing? Entertaining videos, right, Red? Yeah, I mess that up all the time. Red is checking in. What would Mr. Lock and Load do? Says Canuck. What's up? What would Mr. Lock? It was Mr. Guns and Gear that had the fire across the lake in that recent video. I just, I'm not sure if I know who Mr. Lock and Load really is, or is that just a general term? What's up, Angel? Resist, right? Susie, good morning. Welcome to the channel. I don't think I've seen you here before. How you doing? Bring up your coffee. Yeah, there seems to be a multi-purpose to it. It's one of those things you don't know what you don't know. What's up, Cat? There's your entertainment, Red. See, we provide animal acts during the show, live. There you go. I can't get more entertaining than that, right, Red? And there he goes. Okay, Mr. Lock and Load was, and I thought I'd remember the name. Some of his vids still up. Okay, sounded familiar. I just haven't. I really don't watch many produced videos. Channels that produce videos at a high level, I really don't watch many of them, just because that's my style. Not that any of them are wrong, except for Canadian Prepper, who's totally wrong 90% of the time. I really don't watch many of the produced big channel videos. I watch Dave at Southern Prepper 1, but he's just like this. He does like me. He just looks at the camera and starts talking, which is kind of like that style. Yeah, I wouldn't have known about that Guns and Gear thing, except it was shared everywhere. The guy's sitting there talking to the camera, all of a sudden shots fired. I was I was kind of like, I don't think I'd just be staring at at the cross the lake. I think I'd be getting for cover somewhere, just in case. They were kind of a little not nonchalant, but I mean, it's one of those things, when you hear something like, okay, I've heard that over there. I heard that. I don't have to get down. I know which way it was going, or I don't hear pops over my head. I'm good. It's not incoming. Um, so it's a certain amount of what's going on. It's not just um, total panic, I guess. But you do, Angel. Well, that's good. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like every mistruth is mixed in with some truth, right? He does put some good information out there. I just don't like his style. Of course, I haven't watched anything of his in probably 4 or 5 years, so he may have changed too. Um, Low budget is the way to go, right, Susie? Maybe it's just because we're low budget. It's not intentional. If it's one of those things, if I had the money, time, and ability to make a highly gloss production, I'd probably do it. I'd do it too. Um, but like Jet does editing on his stuff. It's like, man, I wish I could do that. And there was a time where I tried some of that, and it just didn't take. I don't know if I just don't have the ability and the time to put into it to make it worthwhile, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So, it is what it is. But speaking of division, I noticed that the supposed Olympic team was causing divide and distract at the highest level throughout the last couple of weeks. I know the Olympics are going on. I haven't watched any of it, but the division agenda there was pretty stark, with the whole kneeling and the people not representing the country but trying to represent the country, and that's a mess. And people being upset about it. It's like, I can't even waste your time with that type of division. Like when they had the gymnast that quit, and it's like everybody was giving her a hard time. It's like, just because of the aura and the attitude towards the Olympic team, it's like the main point of that whole thing was she was getting scored lower just because they wouldn't score at the proper level for what she could do. So she wasn't getting full credit for her routine, if you will, what they call it in gymnastics. It's like she should have walked. The whole team should have walked out whenever they said they weren't going to give her the same scores or the highest score possible, just because of the competition level. It's like the whole team should have walked out when that first started. I heard that and I was like, that's it. Olympics is over. Olympics is done because you can't even perform at the highest level and get credit for it. She should have walked out immediately instead of even trying to, I guess you'd say, downplay or downgrade her her skills to the meet. That was pretty sad. I mean, the Olympics is done when stuff like that happens. It's just a participation agenda. It seems to, when it permeates up to that level, the Olympics, yeah, it's like, it's sad. You can't even watch that and expect to see, people's greatest efforts. Although there are still feats of wonder that happen. What else is going on here? Sausage tastes like. Oh, that's interesting. What's up, War Drums? War Drums did a video. I don't know. I got to look through my feed. I did not see that pop up in my feed. So I don't know what that was about, but I got to watch it on Stinger's channel last night. War Drums did his first video in like 5 years or something. But it looks like he's still alive and kicking, doing the things. So that's good. Not behind enemy lines somewhere. Angela, you haven't watched Olympics since you were a kid? Yeah. It's one of those things, you just put it in the right frame of mind. It's like so much of the other entertainment stuff. Um, But you can't watch so many things now because they're not entertaining. They put so many other agendas and try to sneak messages in, instead of just showing entertainment. So it is what it is. I don't blame anybody for not watching. Let's put it that way. I don't blame you at all. Um, what else is up? We got fires. I put it on the Twitter. It seems like with all the way this fire thing's going, and then the Oroville Dam got shut off for the first time ever. Remember Oroville is where they had that big flood a couple years ago, and the dam almost collapsed over the spillway. And now they've shut down the dam from making hydroelectricity because there's so little water. Um, the uh, the state of Jefferson is in full-on assault, for lack of a better understanding. I don't see how else it could be viewed anything else. We go back to the Paradise Fire, all these things, and the way it went down. This fire that happened just out here, um, this fire, it started in California, and they let it burn for a day, and the wind just took it right into Nevada. And that's the problem. California just lets that stuff burn because that's their agenda. That's their, oh, it's natural. Well, it's not natural when you don't cut the underbrush. You've let they've let things not burn for so long and didn't do controlled burns for so long, or take out underbrush, that now they get out of control. It'd be different if they had a nice forest floor over there that that was cleaned out a little bit, and then you have a lightning strike fire. It wouldn't be as bad, but they've allowed that stuff to get out of control, and then now it's uncontrollable. And they burned half of Nevada, it seemed like, with that last fire down here. And these stuff, up and down the Sierras, um, it's just a mess, and it's all in Jefferson, uh, interestingly, and I don't know. It seems like warfare to me in a different level. State of Jefferson on notice, you know. Oh, was the cat going up a tree again, Angel? Yeah, he's doing acrobatic acts. That's for Red October. He wants entertainment, so that's his entertainment. Unscheduled. Hey, Brastard, how you doing? You still remember? Yeah, I remember the Soviet. Remember that for sure. The 1980s in particular, the 1980 hockey game in particular, still memorable, right? But again, I was just talking to my son about the Roy Jones Jr. fight in Korea back in '88. I was thinking it was '92, but it was '88. He looked it up on YouTube. I don't know what got us talking about that. It was before the Olympics started, and I don't know how boxing came up, but I was like, Roy Jones Jr. is the greatest boxer ever. It's like the only time he ever lost is when he got robbed, right? And I was like, look that up. He dominates the guy and loses doesn't win the gold. And I was like, it was all, the issue there. But that was, it's one of those times you lose faith in the competition process, right? Like, it's supposed to be a fair and deal, and you see something like that just get out of nowhere, like no chance that Roy Jones should have lost that fight, and he gets overruled in decision. It's like, oh my goodness. And then he went out and just dominated everybody forever. um, but it makes you question so much of things that are supposed to have integrity to them, and that's where you lose confidence in the system, stuff like that. But and they wonder why people don't trust the system. Right, I think that's going down everywhere, Angel. That's part of the agenda, right? I think it's just part of more of the control agenda. I don't know. I haven't seen it around. Everybody around here is like so tired of it and done. Like, the governor knows he can only control Washoe and Clark County, and only Washoe to a certain degree. It's only in the cities, Reno and Vegas. It's the only place where people care what the governor even says. Everybody else is just like, pack sand, old man. Like, you're not making any sense. He's not showing any leadership. He's not showing any effective communication on anything because it's not from him. It's not his. He's just repeating what he's told, and it's obvious, and it should be obvious everywhere, every state. Like these people aren't leading you anywhere; they're just telling you what to do. Um, you know. Hey, Rob is back. Right on. Don't do politics or watch WrestleMania. WrestleMania, that's some good entertainment, right? It gets WrestleMania is about as believable as politics. Remember the war on Olympic Village? You're talking about 1972, I guess. The Berlin Olympics, I reckon, is what you're talking about. It's the only thing I can think of when there's a war in Olympic Village. Um, that's quite a few years ago. That might be just before my time, as a matter of fact. uh, yeah, Berlin. Yeah, yeah. They can't kill us all. Yeah, and that's part of the division. The whole reason to, you know, it's not that they're going to kill us. We're going to kill each other. That's the whole divide and conquer. That's the whole Civil War agenda. We talked about this years ago when they kept pushing the Civil War idea, and they still do. Antifa, all these things. The idea is we kill each other, so they don't have to. So they don't have to take the time and effort, um, or that we are more worried about each other enough to we can't focus on them. We've talked about that ad nauseum on here. Not ad nauseum. We've mentioned it several times. Um, that's more what it's about. It's about keeping the populace at each other's throats so that they can't focus on the real problem. Um, the powers that be, if you will, if the powers that be, that they not only would because if we're not united enough to focus on the bigger, higher echelon level, nothing will ever change. You know, so that's the whole continued divisive strategy is to keep people at each other's throats. Yeah, I was commenting. I mean, we were talking about the Civil War thing over and over. I kept commenting like, "This is not the way." It's gonna. The big problem with the divide and distract thing is if it ever does go to blows, like think of a Kyle Rittenhouse times 100 type of situation. Um, the police state will just get dropped like a hammer on everybody, right? And that's when they get to really exercise their control. They get to roll out more restrictions, more Patriot Act style stuff, more the stuff they're rolling out now. They get to justify it because the you know good 30-40% that just want peace. I just want peace. I just want to live in peace. Are going to accept it, right? Um, and you get that compliance at that level, just like the compliance with the current restrictions. They're able to get so much compliance based on fear that nothing change. They're able to continue to control everybody. Um, but yeah, they don't want to kill us all, but they do want us to kill ourselves. Yeah. Why would you not need a bulletproof helmet, Jet? you know, you do need a bulletproof helmet. I don't know why she thinks you're crazy. You know, you live within the suburban footprint of Reno. You definitely need one. you know, I would definitely recommend one, Jet. Um, they're pricey though. One thing of note on that note, on gear and equipment, the trend has been to get those high cut helmets, so they can wear ear pro over their helmet. Makes people highly vulnerable to fragmentation devices. Just a thought. Um, Fragmentation to the ear area would not be pleasant. So it makes those devices a lot more effective, if you will. You don't have to worry about hitting somebody in the dome with the bullet. Angel don't want to be captured alive. Right. Yeah, but you want to be effective as long as you can. Mission effectiveness is important. No, bulletproof vests are perfectly legal. They want to make them illegal. They've continued to try to do shenanigans in Congress and make vests and plate carriers and everything else illegal equipment. That hasn't happened yet, but they've talked about it for years. Meanwhile, everybody and their mom is gearing up and arming up, right? um, Again, they want to they do enough to get people to riled up and to go take action and buy things, and then stir them up to again to focus on each other. It's like because now you have, we've talked about for the last 2 years now, is you have the left, the Antifa. They've been talking about the new gun owners. There's been article after article about the left and the people in that genre, the Antifas, buying up and arming up stuff again to foment that division of it's you versus you. It's you two guys. You're going to go at each other. Meanwhile, these guys up here. They're the problem. Those are the guys you both should be focusing on. Um, but yeah, it's interesting how that goes. Afternoon, PA 2000, long number, illegal. Okay, welcome to the chat, PA. Welcome, welcome. Free Dawkins concert in Fremont Street. What? That sounds like a good time. That was back in the day, huh? Yeah. Stay away from Vegas. There's yeah, we got so many problems here. Like our infamous Sheriff Lombardo down there in Clark County wants to run for governor now. It's like we're so in trouble. Like the idea that he's any different than Sisolak is just hilarious. um, but because he's a sheriff and he's got name notoriety, he probably could beat Sisolak, but it'd be just the same. Like just changing of faces on the wall, but the same agenda getting pushed. It's not like he's a law and order guy. If you're the sheriff of Clark County, you're probably the most corrupt uh, law enforcement outside of the FBI and Chicago PD. you know. Farkas, what is going on, Farkas? Haven't seen you in a minute. And I don't know if you've done a video recently. I know You Can Do It did some videos. I know I saw a couple of months or so back, but good to see you, Farkas. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, we're doing good, man. Doing good. What's up, Billy Bird? What is going on? Yeah, we're just keeping the natives at bay, Billy Bird. We're trying to keep things moving forward. And I was trying not to make this too long, but everybody's showing up now. Hey, what's up, Gray Note? Good morning. Ban on pet snakes. They have a ban on pet bull snakes and stuff? I would say if you're surprised, that means the number's more than 10. I could see a couple of states. Hawaii probably being the biggest one, because they ban all kinds of stuff as far as importation of animals, but that is interesting. Hey, Billy Bird, what's up? We're smoking the forest over in California. That's what's smoking. It's pretty brutal. It's like Jet was talking about. It's pretty bad up in Reno, but it's bad down here, but not as bad as up there, I don't think. That's why I didn't want to take it long. I was going to demonstrate the smoky atmosphere, but know that get out of here soon because I don't want to sit out in this all day, that's for sure. I've been minimizing my outdoor routine. PA is the illegal confiscation of accusation law. Okay, that's a legal code. Oh no, Billy Bird, this gets natural water. This isn't the Tree of Liberty. Yeah, I know, Rob. That's the trouble with going live unannounced and unplanned and Like you haven't done a video in months, and then you just do a live, and people just show up when they can, and that's fine. I don't blame nobody. It just sucks that you have to, you get rolling for 30 minutes and you're about ready to. I've said, about all I can say. You guys are commenting, and it's like, okay, we're about done. Oh, here comes everybody else. It's the second wave. You always need water around here, Grand Oak. No matter if it looks good or not, there's always going to need a water. Yeah, a bunch of other states too, Brastard. I figured that's what you meant. It would be surprising though. I mean, I got pet bull snakes. They're just wandering around somewhere. It's actually gopher snake, whatever. But they keep the rattlers at bay. Right, Rob. That's the thing. That's another thing. Rob brings up a good point. Um, just as they're getting this whole mandatory, you got to show your card type issue. Um, everybody knows the cards is fraudulent. It can be easily fraud. It can be easily faked. It was never supposed to be an ID to begin with. So they've got to come out with something official, right? That something official has got to be digital, and um, it's got to be permanent, right? It's got to be on the person, because if it's just a card you hand around, uh, there's been thoughts in the past where the whole real ID and everybody's driver's license could hold medical information, but there's issues with that, of course, with as far as who has access and who reads it. But so they can't just put it on any old card that you could just hand off to somebody else and they can use it, or whatever. So it's got to be a chip implanted in the skin, right? It's what they've been talking about for years. It's what they've wanted to do for decades. And now they have the perfect excuse to get the mass of the population to comply with it, right? Right, Rob? I mean, that's what they want to get. Whether or not it gets there, who knows? They've got enough people scared of everything. I mean, when they roll out this booster, right? When they roll out the booster shot, that's a perfect time to say, oh, and this is going to be your identification that goes with you, right? It's lined up. It's all right there, lined up, ready to implement. It's just a matter if they get compliance or not. That's the only issue. With everything sitting around, in Nevada, we're right around 50% non-compliance, maybe around 45% non-compliance. I don't know if that's quite enough for them to get what they want around here, but nationwide, you figure a lot of the compliance early on was from the elderly and people who really saw themselves as being in danger, right? But they want the youth. They want the youth more than anything. Getting those under 35 is definitely more of the agenda. That's why they had to quickly progress from, if you're a vulnerable person who has health issues, or if you're elderly, we got to get it to everybody, because it doesn't matter. We got to protect everybody. We got to prevent this spread, even though the vaccine hasn't shown to be able to prevent the spread. Because guess what? It's a coronavirus that's always, like your common cold, mutates to the point to where you can't have a vaccine. That's why they don't have one for the common cold. Oh, it's hilarious in its implementation, but also it's hilarious in its people's inability to see it for what it is. All right, Angel, go to the grocery store. Stay safe. You wearing your mask outside yet? Did you get your mask? Angel was gonna just participate in a comical way, I think. All right, Billy Bird, we'll control ourselves. If you're out of here, we'll try. I think I missed some comments here. People talking about all kinds of stuff. All right. We have one for the red, one for the blue. I don't know what that means, Billy Bird. Right, Rob? HIPAA is out the door. It's because it's all about everybody's safety now, right? That's all. Every time they go after privacy, it's all because of safety. It's been like that forever. They're gonna take out any type of semblance of privacy for everybody. It's like the Apple thing now. Apple's gonna be able to Apple's going to look into everybody's iPhone for dangerous images, saying they're fighting, they're saying they're fighting child trafficking and stuff, when we all know that's not going to be the biggest thing that comes out of that. They're going to go after us, which the fact that Android and Microsoft and all these people aren't already doing that is kind of funny. Why would they even say it and not just do it if they really want to catch bad people, right? Why wouldn't they just do it? The biggest purveyor of child imagery and stuff is the FBI. This is stuff's all been shown to exist. Oh, right, War Drums. It's approaching fast. It is approaching fast. Ungrateful Peasant, what is up, brother? What's up, Wayne? Wayne talking about bug out vehicles the other day. He was definitely focused on the urban dwellers and getting out of the urban environment, I think. My review of it was, in most of the areas out here in wide open country, you need a lighter vehicle to be able to get a little bit more off-road, but he had some good points on the uses and why he would chose his vehicles. That was, if you missed that conversation, go check out Ungrateful Peasant talking about bug out vehicles. I think it was Friday, right? Or wait, was it Thursday? What is today, Saturday? I don't even know what day it is. But that was good discussion, Wayne. Good justifications as well, backing up your train of thought. Right, Billy Bird, they don't know who was who, right? Which is interesting. In Nevada and this is one of the big things that's preventing the full rollout of the identifying credentials, I guess you'd say, is there's about 15 states that allow you to opt out of any type of documentation of your medical vaccination history, right? In Nevada, when you go get a vaccine, you don't have to be entered in an online registration. You can opt out of it. Still true, and that's, the feds lament that, because even back to last year when this first started getting rolled out internationally, the discussion was about passport, the passport, right? Getting your credentials all documented online and having a passport system for that. But America, because we have states that still have a semblance, just a small semblance of privacy, if you will, you can opt out. Whenever you go get your doctor to get any shot, you can opt out of that documentation, and it's like 15 states. So really, look at the state level, look at your state legislatures trying to roll back that privacy measure where you can't opt out of if you get a vaccination being documented online in their system. That's ultimately how they're going to get everybody into this international passport system, and like War Drum, possibly the mark of the beast. I think there's more to it when it actually gets rolled out. The mark of the beast, I think, has to be a willful thing. When you talk biblically, we don't talk about that much on here, but in the Bible, you see the mark of the beast. You have to accept. I think there has to be some sort of personal decision made on it to either deny Christ or accept Satan in some form or worship. What's up, Cat? What are you doing? So I don't just because your stuff is entered in a chip and they force it upon you, I don't think is necessary. I think the mark of the beast is willfully taken by people in a different manner. So there's a separation there, I think, that we don't quite recognize, but it could come about, Let's see how I'm catching back up on comments. Who's the Hulk, Billy Bird? Lines around the block in Jersey. What was free? I'm not sure what was free, but all these shots are free. Anybody can get them. Illegals are getting them. They're not talking about it in Nevada, but the number of people coming to Nevada early on back in the winter to get them. Canadians in particular, lots of Canadians came to Vegas to party and get the shot. It's not talked about, but I mean, I can't say how many, but it's probably hundreds. Um, but nobody wants to talk to people that cross borders just to get the shot. It's free. Again, you don't have to be documented. You didn't have to be documented. You got your little card. But they were just handing it out to anybody. It didn't matter where you were from. You show up, they shoot you. For one, they're trying to get rid of them. The people that are giving the shots think they're doing a good thing, right? Um, but so that makes me question the Nevada numbers, because the total number given isn't all Nevadans. There's probably thousands of people who are from out of the state who came over here to get it. Um, so that makes me question our numbers a lot. Oh my goodness, $100 in New Mexico? That's crazy. Yeah, and they're talking about that. Who was it? There was another state that talked about that recently. Maybe it was New York or somebody, like they'd hand out $100 no problem. It's like, it's not about the virus. When they're trying to pay people, they had a lottery system here. They tried to, it went through I know in Nevada they were doing a lottery for if you got the shot, right? And I think it fell so flat they just stopped, because they gave away like 2 awards, and then I've never heard anything about it since, because I think it fell so flat. It was unsuccessful basically, because people are that resistant. Like, people are dug in now. Like, the 45% that are not getting it are like dug in hard, and that's why they're pushing in hard on this mandatory thing, because, like, well, you won't comply, so we're going to have to use a stick on you, right? They're treating you like a pet animal. If you try to train your dog to, fetch or anything else, you give it a treat, right? You give it those treats to try to get to do something. Well, now they're using the shot collar, right? For what? To get you to comply, to do whatever they want. That seems to be the way it's going. What's up, Rob? I think Rob's commenting. Oh, I'm way behind on comments here. I hadn't talked about the FBI in a while. PA talks about Rust-Oleum. Always got to paint up those firearms nice as you need. Oh, it was definitely reasonable, Wayne. You're just definitely focused on, I think your evaluation of your situation are similar. Is there lots of propaganda in New Mexico, huh? And the thing they continue to not talk about, I hate talking about this so much, but so much of the virus stuff is a distraction. It's fear mongering, so much of it. But there's something else going on in the way. I mean, it's hypothetical because I can't prove anything, but it goes back to, it was probably engineered, right? And it is focusing on certain types of people. The Navajo Nation got hit hard by this thing, and people kind of gloss over that. The way it's hitting minority populations, obviously it's affecting the overweight and the elderly, obviously, but it's hitting certain ethnic groups and people harder than others. There's blood type issues. There's issues with, if you have a certain blood type, you're almost not completely immune, but you have a very high resistance to it. Why is that? Um, why is it attacking certain people a certain way? It was probably engineered to do that. Why? I don't know. I hypothesized back when we did the first video on this thing way back when. I actually did a chat on it. It looked like it was highly engineered, potentially with the HIV markers that was out there. And I was telling people, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if this was an attack on China, at least at some level, and it got out of hand, or it went different than people thought it would go. The people that engineered it, they released it in China to attack China, but maybe possibly blame it on the lab. The fact that there's been so little and such escalation between us and China over this time period makes it seem more and more like it was an attack on China. If it was part of the joint effort in the lab with us in China, the whole NIH and Fauci thing that seems to be coming up more as a distraction lately. Um, it makes it seem more and more like it was a deliberate attack on China to me. Uh, but everybody is on this whole blame China thing when it's obvious that American funds were going directly to that lab, or I should say Federal Reserve Bank funds, right? It's not like the American people are paying for it. Um, but it seems like a deliberate attack more and more that just didn't go as planned. Obviously, and I talked about it in that video too. You got to understand the scope and nature of what a biological agent like this is. It's the equivalent of a nuclear attack because it is so unpredictable and so can be so catastrophic. Can be. It has a little bit less uh, impact, but it has a big fudge margin, right, on how bad it could go or how it could get out of control, which is kind of what it did, and it went everywhere that they probably didn't think it was going to go. Um, that was me hypothesizing, and I don't know, it kind of feels that way to me still. Um, but I don't know. What was I? Oh, I was talking about the attack on ethnic groups, how it targets them more so it seems like, and the effect on the Navajo. That kind of what got me on that train of thought. I was like, how did I get on this discussion? Um, but nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about how it focuses on certain people. Everybody else wants everybody to get the shot now. So, maybe that's part of the controlled part of this thing. I'm way behind on comments. The bases are going into Bravo, says Ungrateful. I didn't know that. I want to try to catch up here. Texas, New Mexico, Canadians have always came down in mass before, right? Right, Ungrateful. We have Wayne. The Canadians always come down here. Yeah, and they definitely came down in droves for this too. As soon as they figured out that it was free, and especially Vegas, and I would imagine border areas in Washington, Minnesota, Michigan may have had similar, especially out there in Michigan, New York area, because Toronto got hit so hard. I don't know when they got their vaccine availability, but it may not have been available to everybody. It may have been only healthcare workers, and so they came into America for anybody that could afford it, because they were concerned or so scared for the whole thing. Dang, Brastard, you're right in the training area there. It sounds like. All right, Wayne, and that's what they want, Wayne. As we were kind of talking about that before, is like I think that part of that push agenda is to kind of isolate people and to finally get somebody to react so they can implement more measures because you know if they get individuals to act out they can say they need these control measures to prevent the small percentage of people that are going to act out so that brings in more police state action. um, so it seems like that's what they want. They want somebody to do something like that, which they may get it. Yeah, that's a good point, Wayne. They don't have the best healthcare stuff in the Navajo Nation. Um, the native populations here in Nevada, I know, had some high numbers. Uh, they're mostly Shoshone uh, lineages, I believe. Um, but they had some high numbers, and they were, they probably were in communication with the Navajo, and were probably all fearful of it. I can see how that went. They seem to have if I remember right, all the nations in Nevada are like over 80% vaccination rates, because they got to line everybody up and just they were right at it right away. They were because the nations have direct access. They didn't have to follow the same phases. When they got access to their shots, they could do whoever needed it. So they went, they didn't do in the same phased approach as everybody else, I don't think. Oh, it surrounds you, bastard. Surround. Oh, that's awesome, isn't it? All right. I think I caught up to the chat now. All right. Part Navajo, Scott, and German. That's an interesting mix, Susie. That'll that'd be definitely an interesting mix. Well, it's definitely been a good hour, folks. It seems like 55 minutes. So I don't know that I necessarily wanted to cover everything. It was good to see everybody. Um, it was good to conversate a little bit to see what everybody's thinking about. Um, hey, look who it is. Of course, Guns is going to show up at the very end and get me off topic and have me talk about something else probably. Um, Guns is doing his daily thing as usual. Um, his commentary, such as it is, a lot of interesting stuff going on out in Ohio. What was I seeing about Ohio? Um, you just woke. What was it? Late night out? What do you mean just woke up? Dadgum. It's afternoon in Ohio. Unless you're out traveling, you might be out traveling. I don't want to say nothing. Um, but yeah, I was some articles about Ohio. Just maybe like, man, what's going on in Ohio? What was it? Yeah, it was just like police activity and people getting scooped up for something and just shadiness. And it's like Ohio seems to be the tip of the spear of a lot of things that are going on. It seems like be a focus of effort. Kind of like Michigan. Michigan with this whole Governor Whitmer plot that was busted, that the FBI plotted and planned. Seems like a lot of that stuff is going on in Ohio too now. Um, they landed that A10 on the. This is something I've wanted to comment on all week. Everybody kind of got up in arms about this whole A10 landing on a rural road out in Michigan. Um, Using improvised airfields is not a sign of attack. It's a sign of creating an area of safety so they can do that operation, right? So that is the A10 landing in Michigan thing is more of a signal to China or Russia or adversaries, people who would invade. We have the ability to make improvised airfields throughout the country to do the things, right, to resist an invasion or an attack, or it's a contingency plan type thing. If you have an airfield pop up in your backyard, it's not because they think you're the enemy, it's because they think it's a safe area. They're only going to land where they need to refuel, rearm, and stuff like that. So it's a contingency planning thing for backup to the backup to the backup, right? I think people took that the wrong way. Everybody got all up in arms. Some people were commenting that it's a signal to the Michigan militia that they're on notice. Like, no, they think it's a safe area. An A-10 is not going to land on the ground if it's in hostile territory. That doesn't make any sense. um, yeah, I think people took that message the wrong way a little bit. Because if you just want to intimidate somebody, you just fly B-52s at treetop level over their neighborhood and everybody gets the message. That's a lot more intimidating than actually landing on the street and being, like you're in a safe area. So that's my comment on that. Um, Ohio has too many potholes to land, says Guns. Is that right? I remember driving through Cincinnati a long time ago. I remember it being pretty rough, that and go through Toledo. I remember the road being pretty bad. It's like you drove out of Toledo into Michigan and the road got instantly better. But that was decades ago. I haven't driven that route. I guess the last time was 91 when I drove that route. So I don't know. I guess it hasn't changed though. Since he's the dirtiest, says Guns. Is that right? Yeah, again, it's been decades since I've been through there. Um, Dirtiest city. I don't even know if I want to get on this discussion. I've been through a few since. I remember Washington D.C. was pretty low budget. Um, I was in San Francisco before. I mean, apparently San Francisco is the worst now, based on everything else I hear from everybody else. I was in San Francisco in what, 2000 was the last time I went there, and it was pretty nice. It was pretty decent. Washington D.C. was a train wreck. Uh, see, I was there. I was in Washington D.C. in 2001. Was it 2001? Yeah, or 2000. 2001. DC was a train wreck already, and it hasn't gotten any better, I don't think. Chicago, I remember going through Chicago in the 80s, and it was a war zone. It seemed like. Apparently, it hasn't gotten any better either. Either. Car parts from previous wrecks. Yeah. Chicago is war drums vote. It looks like it's definitely a war zone there. It seems like, but nobody talks about that. It's like the death toll every weekend in Chicago is much greater than the virus ever could be. Who's that? The I can't see now. The sun's moved. Susie, you're the reserve center. Let me see if I can move this. That's Mark. Hey, what's up, Mark? I haven't seen you in a while. 88 Mark has joined us. An orderly surface maneuver. The reservists will save you. Yeah, probably. Lake Michigan caught fire. That's old school. I remember hearing that in the 80s, or early 80s at least, late 70s. I remember that being on the news, like outside Cleveland, the lake caught on fire. Other places, yeah, the Great Lakes used to be a trash. I actually had family that lived in Michigan, up on the lake, up there by Bay City, up near there. Um, we visited. Last I visited them was in the 80s. It had been cleaned up a little bit since then, but that was a little bit north of all the industrial problems around Chicago and Cleveland and Detroit. So it wasn't as bad. It wasn't bad up there, but apparently the Great Lakes have cleaned up a little bit since then. Yeah, the Chicago death toll, Wayne, is greater than the war. Well, the war's over, right? We've supposedly pulled out. I just saw a headline before we went on here. Um, I guess we flew some B-52 missions in Afghanistan yesterday or overnight, um, because the Taliban's just rolling back through everything. Everybody saw that coming. It was predictable 15 years ago. Nobody, the agenda was never to make Afghanistan functional. I don't think. I think that's a word for it. Should have left our peace after, you know, I don't know. It was just handled so wrong and not done with any legitimate goal in mind. Right? It's never over, Susie. It doesn't seem like it. They want to tell you it should be over. It should have been over a long time ago. Uh, but at least it looks like to some degree we've pulled out, more so. But I don't know what there was never any end state in mind there that was legitimately militarily accomplishable. You ain't seen us smoking, Billy? That's all the smoke behind me. That's what the coffee and smoke, all the smoke, haze, that's all smoke from these Cali fires. Usually you got blue sky or mountain right here behind me. Yeah, right, Brastard. The Saudi Arabians are the biggest as far as Wahhabism and extremism. Yeah, as long as it's like Vatican City, right? As long as you have that extremism, and you'll never kill out the rest of it. Hey, Mark, how do you think the military would go if they called active duty? I've seen them go pretty deep. I know at the beginning in '03 they went pretty deep. like you said, people that were fairly up there in age. But was he an officer? If you're 52, you'd have to be an officer to get recalled. They're not going to recall enlisted. Enlisted, once you get past your 30 mark, which you should be, 48, 50 usually. I guess you could be 52 if you join late as an enlisted guy, but usually only officers would go up that high, that age, because officers are technically never retired. If you're enlisted, once you get past that 30 mark, you're done. You're past your obligation, plus past any recall time. Which reminds me, I haven't gotten my full retirement papers yet. They're months of. I'm past the 30, so I'm not worried about it. I was never worried about it. I wouldn't have went anyway. I don't. If they did something crazy, I would have been like, yeah, that's not happening. Um, but it's a shame. Afghanistan's a great place. Um, it'd be nice to. They need a little peace around there, but I don't know if they're going to get it. You know. Wardrooms would draft our. Yeah, they can try to draft our daughters. That's a good try. Um, they'll get. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, that's again. It's a thing of compliance. The whole draft thing. The whole idea of a draft is immoral to begin with. Um, but it's funny the people who have been begging for equality, feminists for years. Push that and push that, and now they've got it. And it's not going to be them fighting; it's going to be somebody else's daughter. Because most feminists don't believe in having kids to begin with. So they want all this equality, but it's other people's kids that are going to be fighting their agenda. Um, but I would hope that enough people push back on that if they ever tried to actually come and draft people that just went away. The whole selective service shenanigans, like get rid of that, all of it. The draft is just wrong. All right, right, Bastard. Yeah, grow your own, right? I don't know why the CIA hasn't figured that out. You figured they would have figured it out. They could just grow it in America. Interesting. They got to spread that money out, though. It's more profitable to, farmers in Afghanistan work for a lot cheaper than a farmer in Arizona, right? Right, Wayne? That's what I'm saying. I know they haven't had peace. They deserve some, though. You know, they've definitely been the whipping boy. They've been they've been beat up by a lot of people, and they always fought back and persevered. Pretty resilient, very resilient people. Especially when you think about how the effects of culture usually bleed over in a military invasion, But the Afghans have maintained their culture despite all those, the the Greeks, the Romans, the the Indians to a certain degree, the British, the Russians, now us, and like their culture is almost completely unchanged. They don't assimilate well, which is why they're still there. Which is why it's still Afghanistan. They have refused to assimilate even token amounts of culture from other places. Um, they take on some economic. They use paper money. Other than using paper money, like they don't take to other cultures at all. Like it's very very impressive. I give them a lot of respect for that. Um, Most other people just roll over and take what they can to survive. They're survivors, but they're not gonna roll over. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, right, Jet. Um, Again, it goes back to that whole assimilation of cultures. The Iraqi people are not as a cohesive culture. So regionally and tribally in Iraq, you have some strong regions, but they're all different. So the Iraqi culture, they're not going to band together necessarily the same as the Afghans. even in Afghanistan, it's so down at the tribal level that I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, they're definitely hardcore. I mean, the Afghani is much more willing to suffer um, than the Iraqi. It's just like you know, yeah. What did Guns say? Oh, the Afghans refused to get the COVID. Oh, I see, Guns. Oh, I didn't think about that. That's pretty good, right? That would be a good reason. Hey, we can't be here. You guys ain't gonna take the shot. Yeah, that's funny. All right, we're over an hour, folks. Thanks everybody for checking in. I really gotta go. I don't know what. I'm not gonna do stuff outside as long as this smoke's out here like this. So thanks everybody for jumping in. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the thumbs up. Uh, hey, prep hard, live free, right? Hopefully see you guys later. Let me see if I can check out of here without messing this up too bad. But it's good to see you guys, and we'll talk at you later on the YouTubes. All right.